name's Miranda, and today I'm here to review episode 2 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which was all about Sabrina's dark baptism coming on Halloween. I know it's like super premature to say this, but I loved this episode, so I feel like this might end up being my favorite episode of the season. That's how much I loved it. Or all the episodes could be this great and I'll just love every single episode. I wouldn't be opposed either way. I just think this episode had such a strong emphasis on one, the girl power that I've been talking about, and then also the, kind of independence and autonomy of Sabrina realizing that she's kind of maybe been lied to her whole life about exactly what the path of night is, and just realizing that there's another path for her. She doesn't have to just blindly follow these people who deliberately lied to her, and she knows it, and just go along with what they're saying and kind of give up her own choices to do whatever this guy says. She's basically saying, like, I shouldn't have to give up my freedom to keep this power, and that's messed up that I have to do it. And thank goodness for her. It's that age-old question of, like, would you give up your freedom if it meant you were safe? I didn't realize myself how deep and dark this went. Like, when he was explaining Blackwood, he was like, oh yeah, you can leave the school night if you want to, blah blah blah, and like super lying to her. Like, I thought he was telling the truth, but I thought there was something shifty because they just kept like focusing on his hand being like, so I wonder if witches can't tell lies or something. No, they must be able to lie, but like, I don't know, because then later with the weird sisters, when Sabrina told that lie, she had her fingers crossed behind her back. So it was just weird to me that they kept focusing on Blackwood's hands, like, when he was saying stuff, and Sabrina was even, like, looking at it. But he was like, yeah, you could totally leave, like, we're all about free will, blah, 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 like, it's such a great time. And then in the woods, when she signed everything over, he's like, you will sign over every choice, you will follow the Dark Lord without question, you'll do whatever he wants, you'll put him before your loved ones, your neighbors, everyone else. And she was like, excuse me? Like, that's not what we said 24 hours ago. And like, just hearing the whole thing listed out how fast he said it, and being like, not only like I said, you have to put he's basically number one, like, you can't put your loved ones first or anything like that, which I think also, I thought of Zelda immediately. I was like, okay, so if something happened with Sabrina, is Zelda gonna go for Sabrina, or is she gonna be like, no, my allegiance is to him above all else? So they had that, but then also the fact of, like, you have to do whatever he says without question, like, you give up your control of your body, basically, like, stuff like that. Like, it was such a patriarchy and such a dictatorship that I don't blame her for being like, no, and running away. And the scene where she was running away was so crazy. Like I said, it reminded me of the first episode in the Corn Maze, where it's like they just build kind of this creepiness, and there's always that one really creepy scene, like her running through the forest, getting stuck by the vines and everything, and like fighting her way out as they were trying to keep her there, was just so well done and so creepy and so like, oh, like, it was literally, she was trying to like free herself and they were keeping her there. And then she ran to Ambrose, who continues to be my main bae, because he protected her. I knew he was lying when he's like, there's a protection spell around this house, like, anyone that's not a spellman is gonna light on fire if they go over it. And I was waiting for someone to be like, well, just send like the lowest person we have in this coven and who we're not really gonna miss, and have them go over it. But then it was just so good how he had her back without question. Like, he didn't really, I think he knew that like she hadn't signed it, but he didn't know exactly like how badly they wanted her. And that's the thing, why do they want her so badly? Because it looks like I and a lot of us were right when we said like her parents didn't want her to do this. And it's weird how they're always emphasizing like, this is the path your father and mother chose for you, blah blah blah. But then she saw that apparition of her mom and her dad, and they were like, run, get out of here. And that was like the final straw. She was like, no, like, they don't want me to do this, which is totally what I thought, because there's just something so suspicious of everyone being like, this is what they wanted, blah blah blah. The only thing that confuses me is like, Zelda truly seems like she's like, we're failing my brother if we don't have her sign. Like, she truly seems like she believes that. So I'm wondering if like maybe even Zelda and Hilda don't know necessarily how, like, that the accident wasn't really an accident that killed her parents. So I'm wondering if that will kind of turn them more towards her later on in the seasons. Like, if they find out that someone did kill their brother in this coven, like, again, you're supposed to put your loyalty above your loved ones, but I feel like finding out this coven killed your brother and your sister-in-law, like that's pretty tough to handle. So I'm hoping that might come out later, because just her parents definitely did not want her in this coven. Like, there is no question in my mind now after seeing them. And even Zelda and Hilda and Ambrose all seemed like kind of shocked when she told them, like, I saw my parents and they told me to run. Like, they weren't like, no, you were just imagining it, or like, you silly girl. They were all just kind of like, what is that? Like, oh gosh. So I'm really excited to see what it's going to be like now, because I feel like school is not going to be fun for her now that they're going to be trying to get her to sign the book and she doesn't want to, and the Dark Lord can just possess any single person that is living. You know, I feel like that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous for her friends, because I feel like they're going to try and get rid of her human attachments, but I kind of hope that she fights back, and the more they try and make her miserable, the more she's like, I'm not going to join a place that is going to make me miserable. Like, I don't want someone like that. Like, you should be convincing me the good things about this place, not the making everything else bad in my life, so it's my only choice left. I also really loved, let's talk about it for a second, the weird sisters in this episode. I feel like they didn't have much to do in the first episode, so that was why I kind of put them at the bottom of my favorite list, but this episode, they were so amazing. Oh my goodness. I love them teaming up with Sabrina, and it was definitely like a darker side of Sabrina, but I also feel like it was just such a good twist, because like when they were all making out with the boys, I was like, so she's cool with like cheating on Harvey just to get this done, but then the twist of like the boys weren't making out with the girls but were making out with each other was just really good. I really feel like them as a foursome were a force to be reckoned with, and I loved seeing the weird sisters more like owning their power and everything like that, and working with Sabrina. It was really good, so I hope that they start to become, I guess, like frenemies, you know, in the later episodes, more of like a Cheryl when she's connected to like Betty and Veronica. Like, she's friends with them, but they still can't like fully trust her, you know. She'll turn on them sometimes. So I wouldn't mind if it's a relationship like that and they just help each other out. And when I think it was Dorcas, which, let's just talk about that name for a second. But I think it was Dorcas that was like, we knew you were lying, but like, we don't need an excuse to mess with mortal boys. Like, I loved the girl power in it all, like, and especially like, they'll probably mess with any mortal boy, but especially when it's like these privileged, rude a-holes that were picking on Susie, I was like, yeah. So we'll definitely see more of what it's gonna be like in the coming episodes. I'm super excited. Harvey also shot up way, in my opinion, this episode. I feel like he didn't have a lot to do in the first episode, which is kind of like, I'm getting my pumpkin. But in this episode, it was more like he was very supportive of Sabrina. And when, oh my gosh, when she asked him like, hey, you're really into like comics, if you could get a bunch of powers, but you had to give up everyone and everything you know, would you do it? And he was like, well, would you be my girlfriend in this case? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, no. And she was like, even if, so you'd give up flying for me? And he was like, there's no flying without you, Sabrina. And I was like, oh, like, he was just so sweet and supportive, and he didn't really question that thing with her aunts. Like, he was like, oh, you have that thing, like, I'll drive you, when they went to the party, and the dancing scene at the party was so cute, how everyone was just having a great time and all that. I just really like it. They all are just so amazing, and I love Harvey and Sabrina together. So I'm really excited to see how it's going to change now that she forewent her dark baptism and what that's going to do with the family dynamic. I also really want to see more about that witch. I think his name was like Connor, the one that passed away, who the witch hunter is. I was thinking for a second that maybe his parents were the one that killed him and they were just like acting like nothing happened, but he was in a park at night and he had a familiar, so there was definitely something going on with that. So I'm excited to see that. As for my list of favorites, I think this episode favorite was definitely Sabrina. She was just so amazing and so awesome, and had to make some quick decisions, but some great decisions. Then I really liked the weird sisters. Then Ambrose just continues to be my main OG. I love him so much. Then we had Harvey, who very much shot up in my estimation. Roz and Susie were again just kind of there, but amazing friends. Then Hilda, then Zelda. I feel like Zelda is starting to become one of those, like, you know, white ladies who just like helps the patriarchy continue. So like, we'll see more about that. But if you have seen this episode, please feel free to leave your thoughts about Demo in the comments. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!